I just feel very guilty, Josh.
Oh, I can just see the comments already.
So 101 different ways to sharpen a chainsaw and probably thousands of different techniques. Everyone has their own way. So this is probably going to be quite a controversial video for people who know what they're doing, because I'm sure they've got some comments, and we'd love to hear your comments below once you've watched through the video to see what we're doing today. So Josh, what are we doing today?
So we have got 4 different sharpening types. We are going to blunt each chain on this saw, and we're going to see how easy it is to use each sharpening device to get them back to their former glory and actually see if we can get a decent edge.
Now we have got 4 very different chainsaws. We've got the brand new Stihl MS400.1. We have got the Ego battery powered 60cc equivalent saw. We have got my original, my first ever chainsaw I ever bought, which is a Husqvarna 340. And we have got a Milwaukee M18 hatchet. Let's have a look to see which different sharpening devices we've got.
Tested by Machinery Nation.
So first up, we have got the 230 volt mains electric grinder. Now this is bench mounted and it's hydraulic, so you basically put your chain in, pull it down, settle your angles, and hopefully you get a nice sharp chain.
Now there's loads of different versions of that on the market. You get really basic ones. Now that's probably one of the most... Well,
this is the real McCoy,
it is. It's probably the best on the market. Now there's something very similar which is manually locked, but we'll talk more about that in a little while.
Yeah, and you'll probably find a lot of guys that own one of these have got a lot of chains, haven't they?
Yeah.
A lot of chains.
You need a lot of chains to warrant it for a start.
Yeah. Then we move on to the Easyfile from Stihl. Now again, you can get different sizes for all different chains. It's a one-trick pony. So basically it does your filing of your raker gauge and it does the filing of the chain as well.
Now I thought that was a bit of a gimmick when it first came out. I think you'll be surprised as well as I am. So it's a good little tool. Then we've got something neither of us have ever used, which is a little Oregon motorised grinder. Now it works on 12 volts, you clip it onto a battery and then you grind it. You've got lots of different stones with different size chains on there. So it's going to be interesting to find out what that is. And then we've got the more traditional way where we have a file and guide. So you put your file into your guide and then you have your handle on the end of it. So we're very used to that. I've sharpened more chains like this than any other way. And you probably sharpen more chains with a grinder
from a workshop point of view, yeah. Yeah,
so
definitely.
It's going to be interesting to see how they all go. So I think we better now go and blunten some chains. I never thought I'd ever say let's go and deliberately blunt a chain.
Oh, I can just see the comments already.
Yeah, but here we go. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to blunt a chainsaw deliberately. And that's all it takes to make a blunt saw. Oh, it just feels wrong. I'm doing it to my trusty old saw. Alright, so now we've blunted them. I still feel a little bit of pain that I've just done that. Let's do a time test with them blunt, then we'll sharpen them, then we'll do another time test with them sharp. Milwaukee up first.
Right, so we certainly have got some dull chains, and that Husqvarna was absolutely smoking.
Yeah, I just feel very guilty, Josh. I just feel really bad. It does not feel right. Anyway, we are now going to sharpen the Husqvarna with the Oregon bench grinder, which is set up behind us. We're going to sharpen the Milwaukee with the Oregon little handheld 12-volt sharpener. We're going to sharpen the Ego with the traditional file and guide, and sharpen the Stihl MS400 with the Stihl Easyfile with the 3/8 attachment within it. So let's
fire them up and get them sharpened.
let's do some filing. You got a cabinet?
I don't know.
Filing cabinet.
Oh, right, yeah.
So when filing a chainsaw chain, the easiest thing to do is to put it into a vise so it's nice and safe. Make sure your chain can go all the way around. Now, this little Oregon tool, like I said, we haven't actually used it before. So it's got a little abrasive wheel, abrasive little insert into there, and then you can adjust the plate to sit correctly where you need it to go onto your chain. And then once you've got that set up, you can plug it onto a battery or a cigarette lighter, 12-volt socket, and hopefully off we go. So this is a bit of trial and error for us, so let's crack on. All right, let's fire up. Oh, it's a bit like a hairdryer. And we're going at 30 degrees on this chain. Hopefully that's one done. That looks pretty good actually. Check the levels. Yeah, it's all got a nice arc on the chain. A nice tip on it. Now you have got the 30 degree marks on here, so if you want to go 35 degrees, 30 degrees or 20 degrees, you've got all your markings on there to be able to guide you around. Now a quick little tip when sharpening chains, if you just put a little bit have a paint pen and just mark the top of your cutter that you've done first, and you'll know where you've got to finish. Right, so I'm taking the guide off on the end and I'm going to go in raw because, for one, because there's very little chainsaw, I haven't actually got that much room in the vise. So I've got a little bit more room here now, whereas I was finding I was just flexing a little bit. As I said, a bit of trial and error, but let's see how that goes. So now I'm just following the line on the back of the cutter rather than following the guide. You can see that was a lot quicker already. So I've now turned the chainsaw around, so now you've got to come in from a different angle.
So now we move on to the Oregon hydraulic bench grinder. Now this one is quite simple to set up. There's a couple of adjustments you need to make. So you need to make your angles, you need to make your depth, you need to make your cut angles as well. So we've set this to the specific chain. So we've got 30 degrees on this angle, we've got 55 on the back, and we've got 10 degrees on there. And then just like James when he had his Milwaukee hatchet, you've actually got to adjust your chain round to do either side, because each chain has obviously left and right cutters. So the other thing you'll have to adjust is the tooth length guide. Now this is just adjusted by this wheel on the back. This pushes this arm forward and backwards. So when you push down on the chain grinder itself, you don't take too much material off. Now this one, like I mentioned, is actually hydraulic, so you can say when I push down on so, it actually clamps the chain up so it goes tight so it won't move. But you can get cheaper options which is more manual, so when you turn the chain round you have a little lever which just pushes, and it pushes those guides together. Right, let's start grinding. Right, we'll take a little bit of material off and see what the edge comes up like. And from previous experience as well, you don't want to jam the grinding wheel right down in, otherwise you'll burr the chain quite a lot, you'll get a lot of heat into it, the chrome will come off the tooth, and that's the worst thing you want because you'll never get a sharp chain. But that looks pretty good. So what we can do now is we can turn the chain round, do all the cutters that are on that side. Now we set our length and our depth. And you can see how easy it is, and as simple and quick and efficient, to be honest, as well. Right, so once you've done one side, you now want to adjust your chain and your depth back to 10 on that side and 30 on the front. And now you can actually do your opposite tooth. So there we go, that is one sharpened Husqvarna 340 chainsaw. Now, you can actually take down your raker gauges on this machine by putting it into more of a vertical position, putting the flat disc on it and actually taking those down, but we'll do that in another video. But that is bloody sharp, and I can't wait for James to try that 340 chainsaw in that bit of wood.
So now it's time for the good old-fashioned file and guide. Now this is probably the most common way to sharpen a chainsaw, and there's plenty of you out there who would probably be able to give me some tips and are much better at it than I am. So now let's have the Ego chainsaw and file it. Now before I do that, I just want to mention that when you clamp a chainsaw into vise, well, I've always been told to clamp it at this end of the bar, because these are laminated bars, they've got hollow parts in them. There's more ribbing in the nearer end of the bar, or the end of the bar, than there is down here. Now I've seen some people clamp down here, which is probably absolutely fine. I've just always been told to clamp it at that end. So let's dig in with my file and file away. So with the file and guide, on the guide you've got 30-degree lines and 25-degree lines. We're going to go with the 35-degree line, so lining that up with the length of your bar and then striking through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I think that should give you a nice little cut and a nice sharp tooth on the end. Nice. So there we are. One sharp chain with a hand file. Well, I say sharp, I hope it is. Now to go and get me glasses. Now this chain has been a bit of a pain to sharpen. I don't know if it's an ego thing or something like that, but this file wouldn't actually fit in between the raker and the cutter to start with. So 3/16 file on a 325 chain. Now, not sure what's going on there, but I think proof is going to be in the pudding when we go and try cutting it in a minute.
So as the name suggests, this is the Stihl Easyfile, and hopefully it's going to be an easy system to sharpen your chains. Now you've got a strong side and you've got a weak side when you do hand filing. Now I'm left-handed, so I find this is actually me weak side. So I generally start on the weak side first. I will do a couple more strokes on my weak side than I will on my more stronger side, because it's obviously you're getting a little bit more penetration. So the other thing to bear in mind is worn teeth. So you generally want to find your most worn one first, or your shortest one. File that down first, and then you can use that as a base point to sharpen the rest. Right, let's give this Easyfile a go. So just like James, in on your tooth, push through, and as you see you've got an arrow on there. You use that marker there to keep the diagonal line with your guide bar, and this file also takes down your raker gauge as well as sharpening your tooth by the handy addition of this square file in the centre. Right, and then when you've done one side, you can spin it round and do the other side. And this time, you actually turn your file around using the arrows and making sure you've got your round file in the back and your square file in the front. And that is that. Sharp as you like. Absolutely lush. Right, should we go and dig them in some wood?
Right, so we've hopefully now got 4 sharp chains. So let's put them back through the same bit of timber we did before, put the timer on, and then we'll put them side by side to see how well they do against the blunt chain. This is going to be interesting, cannot wait. Right, Milwaukee up first. Well, I don't think we disgraced ourselves, Josh. Definitely not. Now, when we do videos like this, where you know people are going to be super critical, which we do encourage in the comments below, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking when you're going to do that video to make sure that it's going to come out in the right way.
Yeah, no, we definitely sharpen them, definitely cut faster, so we've done something right.
Yeah, we've done something right, definitely.
We are going to drop the links below for all of these items, so if you want to check them out or purchase any, please do. Likes versus dislikes on each.
Yes, let's start over here this end, shall we?
Okay.
With the chain grinder. It's amazing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's a great bit of kit. It is, once you've got the hang up, well, same with anything, once you've got the technique, everything seems to work absolutely fine.
Well, we had one in our own dealership, didn't we?
We did, exactly the same. Well,
so
different colour, but other than that, it was you know, Oregon, hydraulic, that hydraulic thing makes things so quick.
Yeah.
You haven't got to do the screw every time. Yeah, really, really like it. But it does take a little bit of getting used to.
And it's the price.
There is a big price tag on it. I want to say 500-ish.
Could be.
Possibly.
Could well be.
Possibly.
Yeah.
It's been we've had it in a little box for 18 months. The price is probably different now. But again, link in the description below. Which obviously has Farner chain or Sharpen chain. Now, this little thing. Now, I was unsure about it at first. I didn't know whether I was going to like it or not like it. Now, it'd be nice if it's a little bit longer, because you could feel your angles. But I sharpen that chain fine. Now, on a smaller chain, if you're sharpening chains, small chains are the buggers to sharpen.
They are the hardest, aren't they?
Yeah, whereas bigger chains are much easier to sharpen. The smaller chains, especially when you get down to the 1/4-inch files on little tiny battery saws and things, it is quite hard work. So I think that would come into its own there. But once I took that guide off, I found it much easier.
Yeah.
I didn't like the guide one bit. So.
And it's multi-use, so you do get a range of those files in the box, don't you? So, you know, if you've got one saw that might got a 3/8 chain on it, or one with a 3/25 chain, you know, if you buy that, you're going to have something that fits on.
Yeah, and that was a 5/32 file we used on that there, but you've got the 7/32, you've got the 3/16 that comes in the box already. Now,
the one that everyone knows and loves.
Yeah, and I do really, really like it, but I really struggled to sharpen that chain. It was odd, wasn't it?
Well, we've already been told by Ego it's not an Oregon chain or not a branded, real branded chain, is it? No. So it might just be a little bit more of an obscure chain that once you fired it a couple of times and you can get that file in there properly.
It's fine. But with a filing guide, give me an Oregon 21 chain or a 95 chain. Yeah, you'd fly through it. But still sharp.
Nice simple setup, and it's cost effective.
Very cost effective.
Probably the most cost-effective one here, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Then the Easyfile.
Easyfile, again, I thought that was a bit of a gimmick when it first came out.
Speaks for itself, doesn't it?
It does. It is fantastic.
It's the only one here that will take down the raker gauge as well as filing the tooth at the same time. Which is a 2-in-1 function. Well, they do call it a 2-in-1 Easyfile, don't they?
2-in-1 Easyfile,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then everyone thinks that you can't replace the files and everything, but obviously they slide out, so you undo the cap and actually take your files out. So that's all
replace them like
replaceable.
normal. Yeah. So no, I really, really rate that. If you're sharpening chains, that's the one I'd get.
Yeah. And I would say
really
if
is.
you're not confident in filing cut chains, again, that's a winner.
Even Josh could file a chain using
Yeah,
it. So,
yeah, and I never filed a chain in my life. Probably looks like it on camera, to be honest.
Now, obviously, we've done this in a workshop setting. We've got a vice. You know, when you're out in the woodland doing field work, then it's going to be a little bit different, isn't it? So using the Stihl Easyfile and the hand file is blooming hard when you're out in the woods. Obviously, you can get the bang-in files, the stump vices, to bang them in, but it's still not great, and there's some tricks and things.
Yeah, and if you've got a really dull chain, it'll be a harder work to get the edge back with something like that over the more mechanical.
I've been hedging years ago, and you know they're trying to file at lunchtime, holding the saw between your knees, trying to clamp it to sharpen it. It is hard. That, I think, is where this would come into its own, as long as you've got a power source.
Yes.
So obviously that'll fit onto any 12-volt car, battery, quad bike, tractor, whatever. But that would be very, very easy because you could literally hold that and then just do this. You haven't got to force it through. And then obviously that you definitely can't use in the middle of nowhere. No. You definitely need that in a workshop setting.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've all got their pros and cons. Now what we'd like you to do is let us know below which one you would choose and perhaps which file kit setting they've already got yourselves. What do you use, or which one of these would you choose over what you've already got? Yeah,
but the big question is, James, what is a blunt saw?
What is a blunt saw? Now, a blunt saw is a dangerous saw. That's what I was taught on my first chainsaw course I ever done when I was 16. So
there you go.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. We're Machinery Nation. We bring you product videos every week all about tools and machinery. We hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, ding that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one.
Cheerio.